We don't have any natural disasters. We can go snowboarding just like you could like Northern California, and then we can go to a lake and also have affordable housing compared to the rest of the country. Now with that, we don't have a ton of high paying jobs, but if you were coming in with a remote job, that could be perfect.
I would just think if we were going to live in another state, a state like that would be more conducive to success for us. Not really geographically like you've got the ocean or you've got this or you've got that. It's not really amenity wise. It's more, I just think if we were going to move to a different state, those would be probably some places that we could find success in our lives.
The Den, powered by the Lyons Group, a show that explores trending topics in real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal growth. We're a small team of professionals with over $400 million in sales and nearly 2,000 successful transactions. You're listening to time-tested experts and industry leaders. Welcome to The Den.
We are going to be talking about all things Sunbelt. And for those of you who don't know, do you guys know what the Sunbelt is? What states are in the Sunbelt?
I think New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Florida.
That's pretty good.
Maybe a few more down
Georgia,
there.
Alabama, bottom of California, Arizona, Texas.
Yeah.
Southern Nevada.
15, Southern Nevada. Yeah. 15 states. Oh, was it on here?
And I did not look.
I did it for my research.
Now.
Good job without even cheating.
Smarter, not harder.
Yeah. I mean, so if you just looked at the map of America and you just kind of drew a width of a belt across the bottom part, I mean, that really is the Sun Belt. And we've seen a huge migration over the years to the Sun Belt. And the question came about like, why? Why is everyone moving and for what reason? So we're going to talk about that a little bit because we actually live in the Sun Belt, which we're right on the edge. We're kind of on the top of the buckle, but, why would people move to the area? What we can expect and what are some of the things to consider when thinking about moving to the Sun Belt? So, Paul, I know you grew up in the Northeast. Bless your heart.
Yep.
Come on, I want to hear it come out.
I want to
Boston.
say the first thing you said was the higher states.
The higher states.
So I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, I grew up in Seattle,
states,
so
the higher,
there is the higher states in Seattle.
Well, I grew up in Boston, and they were one of the first ones to say,
"Yeah,
we like the pot."
Yeah.
We are the higher state.
We are the higher state.
Yeah. One of my roommate's friends in college, and I went to college in the Seattle area, but he won the state championship for pot brownies. He was like the state champion, like 3 years running.
So there's a competition for that?
There's a competition.
I found out a guy I went to school with, graduated with, was the president of the National Cannabis something or other, like a national advocacy group.
Nice. They got titles for that?
I don't know the title. Yeah. He was the president.
Do you get a button on your Birkenstocks if you like?
I'll ask him next time I talk to him.
Oh, you got your Birkenstocks on?
Always.
Hey, Birkenstocks are comfortable.
Yeah, they are.
So anyways,
especially when you're high.
Amen, sister.
The higher states are moving to the lower states. And I don't know why maybe we can, what's that word? Capitulate?
Speculate?
Yeah, not capitulate. That means to give up. What are you talking about?
Oh, what is capitulate? Does that mean give up?
Yes.
Oh, well, I need to go back to my dictionary. But let's talk about some of the reasons, because we have about 350 million Americans, and some of the estimates show that 50% of Americans live actually in the Sun Belt, and there was a big migration over the last 5 years, certainly, but within the last 20 to 30 years, and they're estimating that up to 55% of the population will live in the Sun Belt over the next probably 10, 15 years. That's another 17 million people move into the area. Ben
just stole my stats. So now I have nothing to talk about.
Well,
would you like to leave now?
Yeah.
He's already really
I'll
good.
just
if you think about it,
geographically,
50% should live.
No, it's less. Yeah. It's like smaller than, because it's not the bottom half. It's like the bottom third.
Yeah, it's really at the bottom third.
Yeah. Look at your map again.
And Paul didn't give us anything.
Don't capitulate.
Yeah, he texted to us last night.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So this has been going on forever, though. I mean,
seems like it.
Yeah, the snowbirds has been a thing for forever. Most of the people my grandparents' age and a little bit older always had a house in Florida or a cabin in Maine. So, and then they used to like camping too. So get their RVs and camp during the summer.
I do think that's the big push. Like realistically, a lot of them are going to like the Phoenix area or Florida. Mm-hmm. Lots of retirees, like 65% of retirees live in the Sunbelt. So that does make sense. The lower altitude, the warmer weather, golf, swimming, It does make sense. But also now with more remote jobs, it also makes sense that people are moving to a more affordable area because most of the Sunbelt is more affordable and sunnier, more outdoorsy typically.
Less populated, less traffic.
Yeah, and there's an argument too.
Snow.
Yeah, about lower taxes too, because some of those lower states tend to be conservative states, and conservative states tend to have lower taxes. But you do have California in there, which is a very left-leaning state, obviously, and Southern California is part of the Sunbelt. So you do see it, and like you were saying, when I was up in Seattle, the snowbird was the thing. Like if you could own 2 homes, one up there in the summer and one down south in the winter, that was like you were living the high life there. So, but you saw that too on the East Coast. That was like, yeah.
And everybody was in Florida. I don't think there's anybody out. Yeah. It just came out. Did you hear that? I don't think there's anybody out that didn't have something in Florida.
Yeah. How do you say it? Say Florida.
No, it wasn't Florida that came out.
Florida.
Never mind.
That's the Boston accent.
Moving on.
Yeah. Do you think, Shannon, it's retirees that are, because we got the
I think historically
boomers?
It's been retirees, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think, like Aspen said, with a lot of people being able to, especially with COVID, when people could work remotely, when they were sending people home, you could live anywhere you wanted to. So why not live in a place that's more affordable? Yeah. You know, the weather's a little bit nicer. Maybe your taxes are a little bit lower. Places like that would be very appealing to a lot of people in some harder areas. But they're in those areas because of work.
Yeah, if you can have a high-paying tech job that you can do remotely.
That you can do someplace that doesn't have to have a brick and mortar building for it, then you got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I saw a clip of a comedian, so this is not mine, but he says this comedian was saying, and it's very, very true, why do New Englanders love 70 degrees?
Why?
Because it's free.
Yeah.
You don't have to cool it. You don't have to pay for you know, if it's hot, you have AC.
See, the only time Paul's ever funny is when he takes it from somebody else. But sorry, Paul.
That was good. Oh my God. That hurt.
But anyway,
I'm sorry,
that
Paul.
was
Me and Paul will just leave. It's just going to be Shannon and Ben.
That was very good, Shannon. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Anyway,
sorry.
But the on the snow side of things, we have to pay for plows. We have to pay for salt. We have to pay so many things to heat the house, to do all those things that come with colder weather. If you can just come down to where it's a temperate climate, you don't have those big expenses. So they were saying it costs when it's cold and it costs when it's hot. 70 is free.
Yeah.
And that is very true.
Very true. I never would have thought about that. But
yeah, well, we're seeing a lot of people, and you were mentioning like the COVID. I go back to COVID, but COVID really made people aware that you don't have to work in the office. I mean, that was really one thing that came out.
You weren't working in the office before.
I know.
Well, that's why we're in this job, so we don't have to work.
That's right. We work in our car.
That's right. That's
it's not the truth.
So a lot of people really realized, like, I don't have to go in, and companies realized we don't need the overhead. So you can work from wherever. And that, I think that was really part of the big push for people like, well, if I don't have to work here at Burien, I'm going to, you know where Burien is?
It was really freeing for a lot of people that realized they could keep their job and live where they wanted to.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
Burien. It's a place up in Seattle. If I don't have to work in Burien, that's like kind of where Boeing is and all that jazz. I can move. Where am I going to move? Like, where would I want to go?
Well, I tell you, the people that come, and I know a lot of people from New England that are living in the Farmington area, the traffic was one of the biggest things to get away from. You know, if you're in that, on the East Coast is the I-95 corridor, on the West Coast, it would be like the PCH or the 5 or something like that. If you can get away from those roads that, you know, take hours and hours and hours to get 30 miles, then the Sunbelt might be, or anywhere in the middle of the country, is the perfect place. It's colder up north or in the higher states, like you say. So you just come down a little bit south.
Yeah, the quality of life seems to jump up quite a bit when you move down south. But that's just my take. I don't know. I mean, I had a great quality of life up in Seattle, but I think one thing I did realize moving down south was beyond the sun that's shining, 300 days a year, and this beautiful outdoor weather, you can spend a lot of time outside, was my quality of life went up because I wasn't in the car, like you were saying, on I-5 for 45 minutes just to just to run an errand.
The only time they have that problem is on a Saturday, the first of the month, going to Walmart.
And
then you think, twice. Yeah. And we've got that problem, but it's not every day.
Yeah.
Well, my brother-in-law, he travels about 30 miles to and from work, about 4 hours in the car every day. So he's figured out how to set up his phone so he can watch television shows. He listens to it because he's seen it a million times. But that's
his unwinding time, because once he gets home, it's bedtime.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
For me,
he's in central Colorado though, right? I mean, like he's in Boston. Oh, he's in Boston. Oh, yeah. Okay. I thought you were talking. Okay. The other one.
Yeah. My sister's brother, husband. But I think the density, population density, traffic, I think that's a big reason that people, especially when they retire, they go, I can't stand this anymore. I've got to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Aspen Gruen. I'm a partner at the Lyons Group. We're dedicated to making your real estate experience the best it can be. If you're looking to buy or sell, go to sjcbroker.com and watch our informational video series. These videos break down the process and shed some light on buying or selling. While you're there, schedule a private consultation with one of our partners. We'd love to sit down, talk strategy, and give you a real advantage in today's market. You deserve the best, so take those steps, and we'll see you soon. Now back to the show.
Well, we saw a lot of manufacturing, a lot of big companies moved south and are creating a lot of jobs down there. But then that goes back to, now that there's this big growth, the quality of life when you are getting on, if you're in Dallas trying to get to Fort Worth,
but that's a good point. You're already seeing the shift. So you're just shifting those same problems from bigger cities to different cities.
Yeah.
But at least it's not cold.
That's right.
At least those people are happy.
Yeah.
Well, Dallas did have that, or Texas did have that big snowstorm a few years ago. They called it the Snowmageddon. Remember that?
I remember that
because it never happens.
Yeah, that's crazy. People's pools freezing over, and they have all these. You know what? Here's an interesting tangent. In Texas, you cannot have a domesticated animal that is native to the state. In other words, like if you had a coyote, because coyotes are native to Texas, you have to have a permit. But if you wanted to go get an elephant, you can have an elephant without a permit. And so all these people in Texas have these like exotic animals. And when Snowmageddon hit, they couldn't take care of the giraffes. So the giraffes had to go to like a sanctuary. And these people created like a little sanctuary.
That doesn't sound right.
I'm telling you.
Most of the tigers in the United States live in Texas. They're in Texas.
Yeah. And so we went and stayed at a sanctuary. It was called the Blue Hills Ranch. And this was quite a few years ago, just at the tail end of COVID. And literally you had baby giraffes, you had otters, you had zebras running around. And we asked them how this happened. And that's what they told us, is that you don't need a permit for an exotic animal.
That's crazy.
So now that's grown and it's a big place if you ever want to get married again. You can renew your vows there, Paul, and you can have some giraffes.
With wild animals no, thank you.
I'm not sure I'm following you there.
So anyways, but Texas is a big part of the Sunbelt, but also they have a ton of coastline. I mean, you have areas that people want to spend time. And I think that's been a part of the migration, but I think the taxes, the weather, and then the opportunity, especially for people trying to boost their careers, especially with these big companies moving there, have created a situation where it's conducive to some growth. Do you see this trend continuing? What do you think, ladies? What are your thoughts there?
I think so, just because it's so affordable compared to other parts of the country. That really is kind of what it comes down to for me. Also, we have, not obviously for all parts of the Sunbelt. I can really only speak to where we are here, but in like northern New Mexico, we don't have any natural disasters. So like not only is like our property tax is cheaper than like a Texas, but we can go snowboarding just like you could in like Northern California. And then we can go to a lake. We can't go to a beach, and also have affordable housing. Mm-hmm. So compared to the rest of the country. Now with that, we don't have a ton of high paying jobs, but if you were coming in with a remote job, that could be perfect scenario for you. We have the bluffs, which are beautiful. We're not flat like Texas. We don't have the humidity like, Alabama. So there's a lot of pros.
Not as many rattlesnakes here.
There's a few.
Yeah.
But just don't go trapsing out there and you'll be okay.
Yeah. The worst thing we have is that bug they call the child
of the earth. Yeah, those are creepy.
And that just scares people. I'm not sure they do anything.
Doesn't bite you, does it? Have you ever seen one of
I don't
those?
think they do anything.
Yeah.
They're disgusting.
I'm scared of all spiders. I saw camel spiders when I was over in Iraq. Those are the most terrifying things.
Those are huge.
Last summer, we
Yeah.
had like a black widow infestation at our house. It was like in all of our plants. There was like babies everywhere. So Bryson was going around with the shop vac, just sucking them up.
That's a good idea.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, but to your point, I mean, there's no, but we don't have earthquakes. We don't have hurricanes or tornadoes are really kind of a rare thing here. Now, as you move east, it's a little bit more prominent, but southern Tennessee is part of the Sunbelt. Even some of the Virginias.
Well,
South Carolina.
Or the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Carolinas, yeah.
Well, and hurricanes are a big thing on the East Coast. I mean, even all the way up to New England. So I think more Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada. I think those are the Sun Belt that Oklahoma, even when they have some tornadoes. But if you stay Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, maybe even Colorado, those are more what I would consider the safer areas.
Yeah.
Away from natural disasters.
Well, you get to Louisiana and you get the flooding.
Floods, yeah. Well, and I lived in Southern California for a long time, and that, the prices were high even when I was living there, but you have so much to do there that you almost don't even care about it. If you're a little short, you just go to La Jolla Beach. And
yeah.
I do like La Jolla.
Yeah.
Yeah, La Jolla is nice. But yeah, well, if you go to, Florida, once you cross the state line, you drop to the bottom of the food chain there. So, but a lot of people going to Florida. Jacksonville is blowing up. And my brother and sister-in-law and their family live there. And it's the same thing that you were discussing. A lot of people from the Northeast moving straight down the coastline.
Yeah, Sarasota was a little New England back in the day.
Oh, was it?
My grandparents lived there. I mean,
yeah. A second home, or was it their primary?
Primary.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not rich, Ben.
Yeah.
We don't do second and third homes.
We've heard of these things. We didn't experience them.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, and you think about like North Dakota and stuff and Montana, beautiful states, great areas.
Freezing.
But like
that's why the show Mountain Men's up there. What do you do in the
shut
snow?
it down for 6 months out of the year. I mean,
Ice road truckers are up there.
Yeah, no. And so I can see why there is a push down south. But is it too hot? I mean, is that a complaint? Too muggy, maybe?
I think in some places, I mean, you get like the Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, it's humid. But then you go to Arizona and it's too hot.
Very arid.
Texas to me is too flat. So I feel like we're like right in the kind of perfect, because it really does vary because you get back into the Rocky Mountains versus the coast. I mean, it's going to get, it's such a big area.
Yeah. Yep.
You have enough choices though. You can pick what you want. Like I could see really liking like a Southern California because I love the beach, but I also want a little bit of like mountain range. But I don't think I could get Bryson to go to Arizona. No way.
Yeah. Flats
from
hard.
Wyoming. Yeah. No, you can't do that.
Well, and you want the 4 seasons too, if possible, because there are a lot of places in the Sunbelt. There's no seasons per se.
There's like hurricane season and not hurricane season.
Yeah.
There's no fall and spring. There's just hurricane and not hurricane. Well, I do think New Mexico we're in a sweet spot. I mean, really, because Ron and I have pulled the map out before and went, okay, if we were going to move, like where would we go? And even like Boise's a beautiful area, but gosh, the winter times there, pretty brutal. So
I think it's weird that New Mexico isn't more popular than it is because it's high desert. The weather's really good. You can ski in Santa Fe. There's so many options. It is higher elevation. So retirement can get a little bit harder with the elevation if you're coming from somewhere lower, but the Vista is gorgeous. The bluffs are amazing. The weather's nice.
Yeah, but we don't perform very well on those lists of all the 50 states.
Yeah, but if we had more people here, like more high paying jobs, then we would, like I get, maybe the school system's not the highest compared to out of the 50 states, but it would be if there was more people here and more money going into it. Yeah. But I just don't see why it wasn't more popular initially.
Yeah. And that is kind of strange. And I'm wondering if it is to your point, Paul, because, there is a disparity of some of the school district, the schooling, and that we are at the bottom of the states, for a lot of performance metrics.
I'm saying from the get-go though.
Yeah.
Like whenever things were being established, why is New Mexico not grown. I would have anticipated it growing a lot.
Yeah,
more.
even over Arizona, because we have...
for sure, because Arizona is so hot.
Yeah.
And there's no water there. I was just thinking it might be not a lot of water. There's not a lot of farms, but
we got more water than
here.
Arizona.
Yeah, more than Arizona.
Right here there is, but the rest of the state there's not necessarily.
Yeah. But I
don't know. It's a good question.
That's a great question. Yeah. So we need to be more business friendly, I think, in New Mexico specifically. But that's been a goal for a lot of years.
Yeah.
And we do say that our number one export are our kids. We educate them and then they go. Like we're gonna.
We also don't have a great train system, which would make a difference for manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
or in
comes
interstates and stuff. Yeah, and everything's so low down there. I don't know the answer.
Well, and New Mexico has been primarily federally funded with our bases and Los Alamos Labs and those types of things. A lot of federal money comes into New Mexico, and we haven't built as much private enterprise.
Yeah. Isn't it like every $1 that New Mexicans pay in taxes, we get back like $2 worth or something? It's pretty substantial. Yeah. It's like 185 or 2. It's somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get a lot of the money back versus like a California would be at a deficit with their taxes paid.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Shannon? Should New Mexico, were you kind of the sleeper of the Sunbelt? You think we're going to pop one of these days?
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't like the...
She's like, no, thank you.
No. Let's keep our...
This is not my topic. Right?
Let's keep our secret hidden, right?
No, I think the issues that go on in New Mexico are just deeper than, our area. And I don't know if they'll be solved anytime soon. And I don't know that, it's for me to resolve.
Yeah. Well, they're making a big push with the film industry. A lot of films in New Mexico are being recorded and produced here. And that's good. But we want to see more retirees, and we want to see more young families. We want to see more young people, professionals move into this area. And I am actually, now that we're talking about it, pretty surprised that New Mexico hasn't popped up. It's almost like when people are moving, they just skip it. Yeah. Skip a state. And maybe that's just because I-40, is kind of not the prettiest drive.
Well, that's always under construction. They've got to go around most of the time.
And there's not a lot of turnoffs. It's a very straight road.
One of my biggest rubs with this area specifically, because again, this isn't all over because it's such a big area, but there is diversity here in the facts of like, we have a lot of like different Native American tribes, and then we have like the Spanish influence and like the Mexican push, but that's really it. So I would like to see like a lot more diversity that you get in a bigger city. So I could see that kind of being kind of a con for people if they're moving from a bigger city, where it's like, if you want any different type of cuisine, or if you have different religions or anything like that, it would be harder. You probably wouldn't have the same community that you would have as a different place, but that just takes people coming and moving. And
in Seattle area, it's a melting pot. I mean, you have every different culture that's there.
Which I love.
Yeah. And so they're all represented. And that's partially because it's just on the coast. And so you have, it's where people land. And, but I can see it being intimidating moving to a state where there's none of your culture is represented or a very small fraction. So we just got our second Italian restaurant here locally.
Yeah. What's first?
Yeah. Olive Garden.
That's not Italian. That's fast food.
Right.
I love it. So,
but I remember when we didn't have one, and we were so proud when we got one.
Yeah.
We're on the map.
Do you guys remember like Johnny Carino's?
Johnny Carino's.
Loved that place.
That's another one. So let's go around the room real quick. Aspen, I'll kick it off with you. What would be your top 3 Sunbelt locations if you weren't living where you live, which I think would be number 1?
I don't know. Don't ask me geography.
Yes, yeah. Top 3 spots.
For me, probably like Southern California, because I like the vibes. And then probably South Florida, like the Keys. And that's probably about it, honestly. Aside from here, I really like living here, but I would like to live near a beach. But the reason I like Florida, the beaches are warmer, a little bit bluer, but less hurricanes and stuff.
Yeah.
On Southern California. So
we're heading to the Keys in June.
Nice.
We're going to explore a little bit.
Yeah, probably those or
Bragging.
here. I like living in the Four Corners.
Yeah, it's beautiful here. So the Florida Keys area, Southern California, because you like Coachella,
No, I don't like Coachella, and I have been, so I can say that definitively. It was the worst.
What's the third one?
I don't think I have a third one because I don't think I would want to live anywhere where there's alligators. So that knocks maybe South Carolina, even though they have alligators, they're not as.
Yeah.
Maybe South Carolina.
Okay.
That's it.
Paul? Top 3 spots?
Top 3. Well, I've done South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida. I don't know. I like it here. I've lived all over. I like it here. Probably Southern California. I like living near the water, but I'd go back home if I could.
Would you?
Yeah.
So you would grind out the winters in the Northeast?
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
Just if my family's watching,
yeah,
I'm over here and they never come here.
Yeah.
I always have to go to them.
Go there. Yeah. So you're going to reverse the trend.
I don't. Yeah. I'd go back home.
Yeah.
I like living near the coast. I like 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I miss the snow.
Yeah. And the falls up there in the Northeast. It's on my bucket list. Shannon, top 3.
I would probably say Florida, Texas, or probably the Carolinas.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Rank them.
Probably Florida first.
Florida first. Yeah.
And then Texas.
Would you be on the Gulf of America side or the Atlantic side?
I refuse to say America.
I'm Gulf of America all the way.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I don't even northern Florida. It doesn't matter.
Like Jacksonville area.
Yeah.
Orlando.
Yeah.
So Nick could do the rides at the Disneyland.
Right.
Disney World?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I would just think if we were going to live in another state, a state like that would be more conducive to success for us.
Yeah.
Is my thoughts. So it's not really geographically like you've got the ocean or you've got this or you've got that. It's not really amenity wise. It's more, I just think if we were going to move to a different state, those would be probably some places that we could find success in our lives.
Understood. I don't think I could do the flat. So flat would be hard I need like contours and hills and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too.
But having said that, one of my top 3 would be the Panhandle near Destin, Florida, Pensacola, Panama City, beautiful area. Number 2, I think, would probably be in the Carolinas. Carolinas are gorgeous.
They got sand fleas that drive me nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, they quaint little towns and whatnot. And then the 3rd would probably be, I guess, somewhere into the Phoenix area. My wife loves Phoenix, and I'd go there for her. But yeah, it's too hot there for me.
It's too hot.
I like the 4 seasons.
It's too big. If you're in Phoenix and you've been driving 2 hours and you're still in Phoenix,
yeah,
too big.
Right.
Like Houston, but too big.
Don't forget, New Mexico is in the Sunbelt, and northern New Mexico, where we live, I got to say, it's pretty spectacular. It really is a hidden gem. You got a lot of great amenities here. So great discussion. That flew by. We're wrapping up. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Den. If you like our content, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sign up for our newsletter. So thank you. Great conversation. And we'll see you next time in the next episode of The Den.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Den, powered by the Lyons Group. Hit the subscribe button to keep informed and check the show notes below for direct links to our buyer and seller video series. The Buyer and Seller video series can give you an inside track on taking the right steps in real estate. If you'd like to learn more about the Lyons Group or to schedule a consultation, go to sjcbroker.com. Complex markets require complex strategies. The Lyons Group can give you a true advantage in any market. Whether you're buying or selling, residential or commercial, contact us directly at sjcbroker.com. We're time-tested experts with a client-first approach, and we'll see you next time in The Den.